I feel like I need my foil for this video because we are going to go places we've never been before. The Lion has returned, but I think now this is going to cause one of the biggest hunts, a secret hunt maybe, from the Inquisition, because the Lion, with his return, is going to bring a lot of baggage from the past to the main 40k storyline. Some things that they may learn may tarnish the Lion, even Guilliman himself, as a heretic. When Primarchs are coming back, there's such a power play, and the Inquisition loves to control everything. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. Now, as I always do, I want to get us all on the same level before we start delving into certain aspects of this potential future lore, the Inquisition getting involved. The Lion, in the past, before everything happened with the Siege of Terror, he made some quite big mistakes. Big mistakes. And it just wasn't him. Now, one of the main ones is the PHAROS beacon. For those people who don't know what the PHAROS beacon is, it was basically this ancient Necron technology. He was supposed to guard it, right? It was a weapon. Well, I say it was a weapon. It was a transportation device that managed to put anything of matter anywhere in the galaxy. Like, you could literally beam to anywhere. Necrons and their weird technology, as they always do, the most powerful race in the galaxy, but they're all asleep. And the Lion was supposed to guard this, but the Lion, in his hubris, went out to hunt Conrad Kurz. He wanted to finish the job. Now, as he did this, the planet that he was supposed to be guarding was assaulted by the Night Lords. The loyalist garrison on that planet, the only thing that they could do was literally blow up the PHAROS beacon so it didn't fall into the enemy hands. Now, what that did, what it's hinted at is that brought the Tyranids to our galaxy. That flash of whatever it was with a weapon in the dark, it was like a flame to a moth in a dark room. We are the flame, the galaxy, and the moth is the Tyranids. So they turned their heads to us in the coldness of the void, and they were like, okay, it's fresh meat, it's free real estate. And 10,000 years later, we're dealing with that now. The brand new narrative that we're about to get is all about the Tyranids invading the Segmentum Pacificus, the western part of the Imperium, one of the segmentums that is closest to Terra, the direct route to Terra. You can say this could cause massive problems if the Inquisition found out about this. Again, we're going to be discussing that later on in the video. Now, one of the biggest terms of wrongs he did, and this wasn't just him, this was Sanguinius, Guilliman, and the Lion. They all got together and they made something called the Imperium Secundus. This was the Imperium reborn. They basically thought the Emperor was dead, they thought Dawn was dead, and they was like, well, I guess we'll make another Imperium then. They made Sanguinius the Emperor, Guilliman was like the clerk, and the Lion was like the War Master kind of thing. And, to sum it up, they learnt the Emperor was still alive, and it was like, well, what we've done is massive heresy. And they completely wrote it all off from the records like it never, ever happened, because it was like kind of, a huge betrayal in the eyes of the Imperium if people found out. Like, they set up their own empire while the Emperor himself was still fighting on Terra. Now, let's skip 10,000 years later. We're in the current lore. Let's not introduce the Lion just yet. Guilliman's does come back. We're in the early stages of the Indomitus Crusade. We're at the end of something called the Plague Wars. The Plague Wars is where Mortarion fought against Guilliman. Spoiler alert, Guilliman won, as a loyalist Primarch does. They always have the writer on their side. But something very, very, very interesting happened towards the end of the Plague Wars book. There was a historiator, which Guilliman has reintroduced, by the way, into the Imperium Society. For people who don't know what a historiator is, it's basically a point of office where they go around and they collect all the data, what's going on with Crusades. So there's a record of humanity's history. They got rid of them during the Great Crusade / Horus Heresy because everything that went on, but Guilliman has reintroduced them. Anyway, this historiator, he's kind of influenced by a demon on Macragge, if I'm not mistaken, and he goes into this library of Macragge, and he goes to the restricted section, and he finds this old book, this book that's been lost for absolute centuries. And written on the cover of that book is the Imperium Secundus. So now we have the lost Imperium Secundus lore being brought back into Warhammer 40,000. The ripples of this could be absolutely huge because, as I've stated, some people, especially the Inquisition, would see this as absolute heresy. They went against the Emperor. They set up their own empire. It's kind of what Horus did, in a way, without the chaos influence. This is why the demon led the historiator there. Now, one of the other things that's been happening in the 40k storyline is that the Inquisition has been actively removing historiators. Like, they've been killing them, capturing them and stuff like that, because the Inquisition doesn't want history to be recorded, because most of it is about demons. Most of it is about the Inquisition wiping out entire planets, entire, beacons of humanity, and they don't want that recorded. Now, I have a theory that the Inquisition is going to come across this historiator. They're going to capture him, right? And they're going to get that Imperium Secundus book and all the information that went along with that. Now, let's again fast forward a little bit. The Lion has just returned. He's just led his sons. He's had that big battle with Angron. But one of the finishing statements of the Arcs of Omen Lion book is that the Inquisitor Lord Cortez, am I pronouncing his name wrong? I probably am, or something like that. But this big Inquisitor Lord learns that the Lion has returned. One of his agents out in the field sends information back saying, hey, the Dark Angels, they've had this big fight with some chaos stuff. We don't really know what's happened, but the Lion has come back. And that Lord Inquisitor activates every asset of his retinue. And a Lord Inquisitor activating everything is a huge deal. Now, it's not made clear what they plan to do, the Inquisition, at this point, but learning that another Primarch has returned, again, is a big thing towards the Inquisition, because Guilliman right now, when you look at him, yes, Guilliman is a beacon of humanity. Like, the Imperium, like the general Imperium citizen sees him kind of as a god. The Emperor is a god, therefore his son must have godly powers, right? The Inquisition doesn't like that because it takes away from their power. Adding another son to that setting and then potentially them meeting up and having a power play could be absolutely dire for the Inquisition, because they lose more and more power each and every day then, because again, it's all about power. It's all about holding the reins of the horse at the top of this Imperium hierarchy. So like the Primarchs themselves are kind of a big problem for these higher authorities. We've seen it with the High Lords before, when Guilliman got rid of most of them because they were, they were too busy smiling and doing their own things for their own benefit rather than the Imperium itself. And there was a huge backlash against that. There's some great books that cover all this, by the way. I'm just literally going over it. So what I predict now, going forward, one of the main narratives that we can possibly see is the Inquisition learning about this Imperium Secundus and trying to use it against Guilliman and the Lion for future narrative events. Like, why should we trust these people? These Primarchs turn their back on the Emperor. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a full-out civil war. I actually don't want a full-out civil war, to be honest with you. We've just had the Horus Heresy. I don't want something like that again. But maybe we'll see something like a secret war. Avengers, move over. This is the proper secret war, where the Inquisition is actively trying to stop the Primarch, his crusades, his plans going forward, anything he's trying to do, because they want to hold the reins of power. And you have this secret shadow struggle happening, and the only people that are benefiting from this are people like Chaos, the Xenos races, the Orcs, the Eldar, the Tyranids themselves with their big invasion, all the plans going amiss because the Inquisition just wants to keep that bit of power. I actually fear for the lives of the Primarchs themselves. Primarchs can be killed. We know that Conrad Kurz was assassinated by an assassin, right? Of course he was assassinated by an assassin, Valrak. So we know they can be killed by inquisitorial agents, but of course you can argue that Conrad Kurz allowed himself to be killed, and the Primarchs are going to be surrounded by some of the best warriors in the galaxy, Custodes, Marines, the Risen in the Lion's case, but it's potentially out there now that these are the type of stories that we may be seeing, and I'm all for that, because there's nothing better, right, than a political battle inside the Imperium with people dying left and right, and it's just not in plain view of everyone else. That, as I just alluded to, a secret war within the Imperium that only the upper echelons of the Imperium know about. Anyway, enough waffling from me. As always, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Join me for Foil Rack Friday tomorrow. I'm recording this on a Thursday, of course. So join me tomorrow for Foil Rack Friday, where we are going to go deep down a certain webway hole. Okay? A certain webway hole. I wonder what we could find in the webway. Something fast, hopefully. Fast as lightning. Right. See you in a bit. Have a great night. And bye-bye.